Welcome to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for all sorts of Star Wars nonsense, news, toasts, commentary, show reviews, decorating tips, you name it. We're here to do it. We're here to bring it to you. I am first of all your host, Nick Mielke. Pete is not available to join us tonight, but that's okay because we have super cool, kick-ass people hanging out, joining us. Rayven is here. We haven't seen Rayven in a minute, but we are always thrilled when Rayven is here to hang out. And we also have our good friend, Mr. Ryan Forrester, in the house hanging out. Just, talking about Star Wars and being funny. That's what we count on you for.
You know what I've noticed is that when Pete is not here, I'm always asked to fill in. However, Pete has never asked me to fill in when you're not here. Or is it just that you're never not here?
No, there's definitely some times when I'm not here. So we're going to throw this one at Pete. It's Pete's fault.
Pete just doesn't want to be with me. Like, I can't remember the last time I did a show with all of you. It's always just like, Pete's like, well, if you're going to bring him on, I'm going to go to a kid's basketball game, even though I don't have kids.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like there's like a Southern fear. Like he can't be with two of us at the same time. It's like one or the other.
And I'm
it's
aggressive.
Just always me. You're aggressively Southern.
Yeah.
That's it. Aggressively Southern. Well, we are hanging out. We've got a bunch of fun stuff we're going to do tonight. We're going to get to the news of the week in just a few minutes in our main segment. Corey has kind of created an opening that we're going to get into. He's been watching the prequels lately. He's got some thoughts. I know that's going to be a surprise to those of you that know Corey. We are going to do our toast in just a few minutes because, I've started this stupid action figure drinking game. And honestly, the only time I really ever feel inferior as a Star Wars action figure beer chugger is when Corey's here because
never been beat.
Yeah, not going to be beat tonight either.
Nope.
And I keep getting better and better. And during what we just completed, which was Jan Dodanuary, every time that clip ended, I was like, there's still 4 seconds of the clip left. It's fine.
I just realized I know y'all have moved on, but I'm still in Snoketober. I didn't get a new figure. Okay.
Yep. It's okay. But we have moved on. And this started with Snoketober. We moved into Snokevember. We did Darth Simber. Jan Dodanya brought us, Jan Dodanuary.
Can I guess what this one is?
Please do. It's pretty easy.
February Boba Fett.
Yep, it is Boba Fettuary.
There we go.
We've got a stupid graphic and everything, so just get excited for that. So we're going to have our toast in a minute. We're going to chug a beer with an action figure in it because that's a part of what we do. And before we do all of that, we're going to get into some basic housekeeping. We do this every week. Social media exists. If you're there, great. If you're not, you can still find us in a bunch of other places. The easiest place to find us is to go to theSSWnetwork.com. It is your one-stop shop for where we are on social media, articles, news posts, links to our merch. We still have lots of stupid t-shirts with stupid slogans and designs and fun things that we come up with because we're internet nerds and that's what we do. It's also a place you can find our Patreon. If you want to join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month, you're going to get access to our Around the Galaxy interviews. When we do those, you get to access those early. We're going to send out swag. We try to do some meetups along the way. It's just a way for you to support the work that we do here. I say work like we're important in moving the world. We're not. We're talking about Star Wars. But we have great supporters. We have great friends who hang out and participate in that. So if you're not already a part of that, we'd love for you to do that. We are on YouTube with super chats now. We had a couple of super chats last week, and we were appreciative of those. So you can certainly send those along the way if you want to. And what's the last? Oh, we have a voicemail right at the top of the screen, 504-321-1501. Call us, leave us a message. You should. And this is designed for people like you. Like you're watching the prequels, you're at home, your kid's running around, and you have a nonsense thought about Star Wars. Call and leave us a voicemail. We're going to play it on Thursday nights. We have a couple tonight we're going to get to.
All of my thoughts about Star Wars make so much sense.
Well, we're going to get into that in a little bit too. But we've got a couple of voicemails queued up for later in the show because we are also going to take your calls. We have brought back our callers on Thursday nights. We will drop the link in the chat later on in the show. We want you to join us on the screen. Get take, comment on something we talked about tonight, whether it's a news story or whatever it is we're going to talk about.
I think your mic's dropping out, buddy. Just before something.
Your sound just went goofy.
Yeah.
We're going to check that out. We're going to keep going. Settings.
Yeah.
He's underwater.
Yeah, you sound like a droid right when it's dying. Like.
All right. Hold that thought. I'm going to jump for a second and dip it.
Now it's good.
Are we back?
That's good.
We're
Yeah,
back?
you're good.
Okay. We're back. Well, we also have this guy hanging out in the background, Mr. Chris Ryan.
Dog?
Hey.
What's up,
Hey,
bro?
buddy.
I wasn't ready.
Yep. It's like the
What's going
Spanish
on, everyone?
Inquisition. You're never ready.
Yeah.
How are you, friend?
Good. Sorry I'm late. But,
That's okay. Always glad to see you. That's right.
I got you.
Keep on keeping on.
Rayven.
And that's right. Raven's
Brett,
here.
man.
Corey's here.
Corey.
Good to see you again, buddy.
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. Just hanging out, ready to chug beer.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
No action
And
figures in your glass. Please tell me you're not
No, he's
pulling
got
the neck.
He's got one.
Damn it.
Of course, I got my Snoke. I mean, I had to clean him off, buddy, because the last time I used it, this has happened to me twice because I've done 2 Snoketober chugs. The last 2 times I have chugged it and left this glass, and then an hour before the show went, oh my God, and had to go clean so much mold out of it. And I'm sure that I didn't get all of it, so I will be violently ill tomorrow, but it's okay.
Or hallucinating, one or the other, but hey,
Whatever.
Yep. I hear you. Awesome. All right, Chris, I'm going to dump you back to the back for just a minute. We will see you in a few. I don't know what I was talking about other than my bad audio. But you know what? It's time to get to the thing that's probably one of the more important things that we're going to do tonight. We're going to get to our Snoketoberfest chug. We're gonna get ready. I'm gonna hit this. No, we're not ready yet. Just ignore the fact that it started. Don't mind
Rayven,
him.
check out the sweet horn I got, huh? Look at this.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
He's got the drinking horn.
Like a sarlacc
right, so
tooth.
I'm checking in from Minnesota, so good job.
It is Boba Fettuary. I realized late that I didn't have a real Boba Fett, so I have the Taco Bell Happy Meal Boba Fett from the 90s, the one that like balances on his head. So he's going in here tonight.
Well, in honor of Black History Month, this is Snoke Dog. That's what we're going to change this to. So
we recently disowned him. So
okay. Shit.
Yeah.
My bad.
I got my T'Challa shirt on.
Oh, how about this? Pop Snoke. Does that work?
Oh, there you go. Chris.
We'll allow it.
Allow it? Okay. Right on.
Yep.
Right on. Okay.
Chris gives a thumbs up. We're good. All right. So, as everybody knows, or if you don't know and you're tuning in for the first time, we have this dumb beer chugging thing that we like to do. You drop an action figure in it. I'm going to play an audio clip that's about 9 to 10 seconds. And the goal is you chug your beer before it's over with. And as I said before, this has become a monthly occurrence. So we are starting the first night of Boba Fettuary. So I'm raising my glass, my toast tonight to Corey and to Rayven to being here, hanging out with us. Cheers to the both of you. And as I hit start on this, happy Boba Fettuary.
My name is Boba Fett.
You might have got me.
I was going to say we're going to have to go to the tape. I think I got you.
We have to go to the tape. You might have got me.
We're gonna put that up. Pete's gonna throw it up there. We're gonna put it on the internet.
I made the mistake. That was not a Miller Lite. That was the only reason I'll shout them out. It's a classic city lager. The only reason I'm shouting them out is because that's from Athens, Georgia, and I will be in Athens, Georgia, February 16th with my good buddies, the Drop By Truckers. It's a little hoppy, and it's harder for me to chug a hoppy beer. The Miller Lite tends to just go straight down the throat, but I think you got me, buddy.
I did, and I was rocking High Life champagne beer. So
16 ouncer.
I got you, man. Well, no, I filled the glass with the 12. The other 4 are still in
I was about to say, because if you did the 16 ouncer, then you got me by a lot.
No. I got you with the regular 12.
Well, hey, here we go. Hold on.
We could end the show right now at this point.
I just want to be honest. I didn't chug because mine is brandy, and I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's fine.
Well, if I have to be on camera and on mic, you don't want me drinking the whole thing right now.
But I will say this: 0 spillage.
Ooh. Yep.
Good job. Good job.
Zero
on that gerrymander shirt.
On that gerrymander
shirt, you can go to CoreyShirts.com and grab you one of those. I am such a whore.
You're in the right place for that. Well, listen, we have kicked this show off the right way. We've talked about some merch buying, plugging, self-aggrandizing nonsense. We've chugged a beer. Now we're going to get into the Star Wars news of the week. And Pete is not here tonight, but as the magic of the internet works and the magic of Pete Fletzer works, we have Pete calling in over the HoloNet. He is going to read our news stories for us, and then we're going to come back after he reads our news stories, and we're going to comment on them. So we're going to take a very quick break, and when we get back from our break, we're going to get into the news. So we will be right back with more ATG Live. Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all of the Star Wars nonsense you could possibly hope for in your life. I am Nick, I am joined by Corey, and I am joined by Rayven, and we are here for another night to start off talking about Star Wars news, and then we're just going to kind of follow the path of Corey and the prequels and the world that we live in right now. There's a lot to get into. And at the end of the, not at the end of the show, later in the show, we're going to be taking your calls. So stick around. Comment in the chat. Chris is in the background producing, keeping us on track, making sure that your comments get on the screen. As we've said several times before, since we became eligible for super chats, you are welcome to drop a super chat. It's just going to contribute to helping us do what we do here. But here's the thing about this show. We don't gatekeep. It's a YouTube thing where you pay money on YouTube to like get your comment shown up on the screen more.
I got to get in on that.
But here's the thing. We don't gatekeep. If you can't drop a super chat, you don't want to drop a super chat. In fact, I feel like this is a lesson from my friend Corey, who has CoreyWrites.com, and when maybe is that the right one?
Is that it? It's WeLoveCorey.com now.
WeLoveCorey.com. Okay, but Corey has said if you can contribute to it, awesome. If not, send me an email. I'll let you hook it up. We're still going to put your chats on the screen. Comment something funny in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want you to be a part of the show. This is an interactive show.
That's a good way to be. I'm very socialist with my work. If you can pay for it, we'll do a sliding scale. Like, I want you to pay for it, but if you can't, I also really want you to see it because I'm an egomaniac.
That's it. That's right. See more of what I've got going on. Yeah. Yep. So, but we are going to jump into the news. So let's do that right now. All right, and like I said, Pete is not here, but he has sent us our news stories over the HoloNet. So let's play our first news story and see what we're talking about.
Star Wars made a strong showing at the 2025 Saturn Awards, with Rosario Dawson winning Best Lead Actress in a Television Series for her performance in Ahsoka, and The Bad Batch secured Best Animated Series or Special for the third straight year. Dawson triumphed in a highly competitive category, beating out notable contenders including Jodie Foster, Emma Darcy, and Danai Gurira. However, Ahsoka did not take home the award for Best Science Fiction Television Series, which instead went to Fallout. Meanwhile, The Bad Batch continued its dominance in the animated category, winning for each of its 3 seasons. It bested heavy hitters like X-Men 97, Batman Caped Crusader, and Star Trek Lower Decks. Andor was also recognized with a nomination for Best Home Media Release, honoring its premium Blu-ray Steelbook release, though it ultimately did not win. And in other Star Wars adjacent wins, Mark Hamill took home Best Guest Star in a Television Series for his role as Arthur Gordon Pym in Netflix's The Fall of the House of Usher, prevailing over Kyle MacLachlan and Aubrey Plaza. These awards follow recent Star Wars nominations at the Children and Family Emmy Awards and Star Wars Outlaws 3 nominations for the Game Awards.
All right, so the Saturn Awards are some science fiction awards in a lot of different medias, that kind of stuff. A lot of animation in there. Definitely some Star Wars, connecting points for Ahsoka. Here's my question for you guys. Animation won a lot. Bad Batch got a lot. The Young Jedi Adventures that he talked about. I know, Rayven, I know you're not a super animation person. That's not a big part of it. Corey, you've got a younger child. I don't know how much
Big fan of the Bad Batch.
Okay, so
yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah.
you watch Bad Batch. So my question for y'all is the role of Star Wars animation kind of in our current Star Wars climate. Is it still something that's vital? Do you think that it's something that can kind of help keep it going? Where do you fall on Star Wars animation?
I mean, I personally think that, especially you're on Disney Plus, like when you become a part of this big conglomerate like Disney, it seems like animation has to be the way to go. And also, I do think it is a good entree to get kids into Star Wars. Like when my kid was born, he would watch anything. He didn't care. Nothing, like everything was new to him. It was whatever. We were watching Terminator. We were watching whatever. So like I could show him the original Star Wars and it would be the same as if I showed him Miss Rachel, But I do feel like here in a couple years, now that he's into cartoons and he's, getting more opinionated about what he watches, like I could see, hey, maybe I'm not going to show him Rogue One. I'll show him Rebels. You know what I mean? And I think that by showing him that, then I could be like, by the way, in this same world, this is how it started. And that would be a really good entree into it, or the Bad Batch or something like that. So like, I definitely think it's viable, especially when, you look at how a lot of people are kind of put off by too much CGI stuff. And then there's some things that are in movies that are live action. It's like, oh, you can't do that. That would look too crazy. Animation has absolutely no boundaries whatsoever. Mm-hmm. You can do anything in animation. And especially for something like sci-fi, I like that. So that's why I think this isn't Star Wars related, but that's why Into the Spider-Verse works better as an animated than it would a live action. A live action Into the Spider-Verse, it wouldn't work. It would look too insane. And so, yeah, I think animation here to stay and good stuff.
Yep. And I want to highlight this from our buddy Greg Gowinski, Emmy award-winning writer, multiple Emmy award-winning writer, actually, who has written multiple episodes of Young Jedi Adventures for Star Wars and for Disney Plus. He's 100% right. Yes, animation is important in Star Wars. It's a huge thing. And Corey, you said exactly what I've said a bunch of times. We can do anything we want to with animation. If we want to go in and fill in the gap between Empire and Return of the Jedi, do it with animation. Like, tell those stories, because it doesn't matter that half the cast has died or that they're old.
And it costs the same to draw an explosion as it does a person eating a sandwich. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's especially for budgetary stuff, you can get the things out there better. And yeah, and I mean, dude, as someone who I've worked in animation before, I had a show that was supposed to be live action that was a Southern show, and they told us that our characters were too insane for live action, even though they were written based on actual human beings, some of which I took the dialogue verbatim, but because people in Hollywood don't speak Mississippi, they were like, well, we can do it if it's animation, you know what I mean? And that made me understand that, like, animation, zero boundaries. Like, imagine Rick and Morty live action. Doesn't work.
Yeah, doesn't work, 100%.
True.
Well, before we move on to our next story, Rayven, what about you? Do you have any animation thoughts?
I do. I think animation is incredibly important. I think mostly for kids. I think it's much more interesting for kids to watch animation. It's bright, it's colorful, and I think in animation, and this is not to downgrade anything, but the lessons are more simplistically put forward. There's so much there that you don't need to explain to a kid because it's animation, because that's how most of them are. I mean, yes, Visions is a slightly different situation, but I think overall it's important because it is a gateway for kids, because this day and age, I'm not sure how much of, live action Star Wars you want to show small kids. There's a little bit extra in there, so maybe it's better to do it, the animation way. But that's because I personally think that children should be exposed to Star Wars as young as possible. So
absolutely. And I think
that.
Skeleton Crew is something that sort of bridges that gap. Like, by the way, last time I was on here, I hadn't watched Skeleton Crew, and I'm still not finished with it, but I did just start watching it the other day. And again, it's hard for me to finish anything because I have a child. But I got to tell you, I don't even know what the reviews were about. I love it. It feels so 80s.
Yes.
Like it, you know what I mean? Like it really felt like it gave me like Goonies vibes or something like that.
Goonies, E.T., Flight of the Navigator,
yeah,
like you name it, it's all there.
Yeah, it really felt like Spielberg doing a Star Wars thing, which would be awesome.
Which would be awesome.
I signed up just for Jude Law, and then in the first episode, I barely see Jude Law, and I didn't even care. I was like, and normally I'm not all about I'm like, well, if all the actors are kids, what do I care? But like, they're really good actors, and it's it's a really fun show. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it had a similar feel that.
Oh, go ahead.
I
was going to say it's pretty popular.
Yeah, is it popular? Are people digging it?
I'm hearing a lot more people dig it than not. For sure.
Okay, I didn't know because I knew the Acolyte got buried, and I didn't know dude, people it seems now that anytime we've talked about this ad nauseum, anytime nobody gives Star Wars a chance. As soon as the new Star Wars show gets announced, immediately before anybody sees it, they're like, woke, garbage, can't be good, whatever. And I just thought Skeleton Crew was just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a lot of fun. Well, listen, we've got a couple more news stories, so let's hit the next one from Pete, dialing in again from the HoloNet.
Well, the building that once housed Walt Disney World's ambitious Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser Hotel will now be repurposed as office space for Disney Imagineering, the company confirmed recently with Orlando Media. Reports of the transformation began circulating in late January, and Disney has now confirmed to WESH that the move has been in the works since October. It remains unclear when renovation work will begin or when employees will move in. Disney Imagineering, the creative powerhouse behind the company's theme parks, attractions, resorts, and cruise ships, will take over the former hotel space, which once provided an immersive Star Wars experience for guests. Galactic Starcruiser opened in March 2022, offering a 2-night story-driven adventure designed to resemble a luxury cruise through the galaxy far, far away. While praised for its groundbreaking storytelling and interactive elements, the experience was criticized for its steep pricing, starting at nearly $5,000 for 2 guests. After struggling to attract enough visitors, Disney announced the hotel's closure in May of 2023, and the final voyage took place that September. Fans had hoped that the building would be repurposed as a permanent Star Wars attraction, but in a June 2023 interview, Disney Experiences chairman Josh DeMauro hinted that something will happen with that space, though no details were given at the time. Now its fate is sealed as a workspace for the creative minds shaping Disney's future experiences.
I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that none of the three of us had the opportunity to visit the Galactic Starcruiser. It wasn't in the cards for me in the first place. Pete's exactly right in that news story. It was pricey. It was not something that was going to happen for me. Coming into this, I know, they announced it closing. I don't know that I was entirely surprised by that. It was an immersive experience. It's 48 hours of basically like Star Wars live action role play at a hotel. And that's fine. When it closed, like I said, I wasn't surprised, but there was that part of me that kind of thought, okay, here's an opportunity for them to turn it into, if you've been to Disney in the last however many years, they have the Art of Animation Hotel. There's the ESPN Sports, the hotels with different themes. There's a part of me that thought, okay.
I stay at the movies one.
Yeah. So there's a part of me that thought, well, this is an opportunity for, there's a Star Wars hotel with bunk beds and, it feels like a ship. They could use it in some other way. Not that it's not going to get good use for Imagineering offices. Imagineering is what keeps Disney going, for God's sakes. I don't have any specific, feelings one way or another. I'm glad it's not just getting demolished after they spent all that money in it. And there's a part of me that goes, if I worked in Imagineering and I got to go hang out at the bar that was built into that Star Wars Galactic Cruiser Hotel just in the middle of my workday, that sounds pretty freaking awesome.
Absolutely.
what would you have wanted them to do with that space if it wasn't going to be offices? Is it, a hotel? Is it repurposing it into some sort of other role-playing thing? What kind of thoughts do y'all have about reusing Disney spaces that didn't work out the way they thought they would the first time?
Rayven, you go ahead. I'm verbose.
Okay. Well, I don't have much to say on this one, unfortunately. I do think though that it's sad to think that it's not going to be used for something Star Wars themed, since it was built for that. But yeah, it's the price was pretty, and I guess I look at it as anything that they can reap back from that, is a good thing. But I do think it's kind of sad to get rid of something that's Star Wars themed, because, Star Wars seems to have a bit of staying power. And, not that Disney doesn't have anything else that does, but it just seems quite sad because, the trip to, help me out here, wherever Tatooine actually is. My brain just completely went insane on that. Tunisia, there we go. Most of us aren't going to get to Tunisia to go to, Baru and Owen's place. So, having things like that be at least, in the United States is something that, for a lot of Star Wars fans, that's the best you're going to get, as far as that kind of thing. So I just think I think it's sad that it won't be that continually. So.
Yeah, it's a super bummer, and I think, Nick, actually, you were the one that sent me the link to it at first and keyed me in on it. And I immediately sent it to my wife and was like, yo, my 40th birthday. This is exactly, what's going on. And I looked at the price point and I was like, damn, I immediately started thinking I should become an influencer on Instagram just so they'll send me, to this place. Because it's not like there have not been moments in my life that I could have afforded it, but it's I don't know if I'm going to spend that much money on this particular thing. Right. And that's the thing is are there rich people that could afford this? Absolutely. But the Venn diagram of people who can afford this and who are huge Star Wars fans is, it's pretty rare because you see all the time a lot of people who will have $20,000 worth of Star Wars Legos and stuff. Those people do exist, but for the most part, the reason that Star Wars is so popular is because it's for everybody, and everybody doesn't have that type of wealth. And even if you did, it's God dang, in this economy, I don't know. The idea of it was great. I really wanted to do it, and I'm with you. It's a shame that they're just gonna do nothing with it, because I agree. Those particular hotels at Disney's, I stay in the movie one, there's the sports one. Those are cool. And those are the budget ones, It would be cool if they could just turn it into okay, we can't charge $5,000 a pop, but we could keep the scenery up and have this be a place you can stay. But again, I think that their eyes were a little bit bigger than our stomachs on that one.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, it's one of those things, and it could be any number of reasons. It could be location, because I feel I read, part of the whole, you get transported there. They essentially put you in a box truck. It's a ship.
Your mic's doing your dumb bullshit again. This is the government censoring you when you start talking about allocating funds for Star Wars stuff.
Messing with
Disney. He's not wrong.
Doge is no, we can't afford it.
The Department of Microphone Efficiency or something.
You're good now.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't know what the issue is, but we'll keep
You've only
rolling.
been doing this show for 10 years. Surely you would figure it out.
Yeah. You'd think that I would, it's Alabama internet, and I can't only say that because you're in Georgia and yours is only slightly better than mine.
Our internet is actually ran by a horse.
Well, I hope he doesn't fall down or go to sleep, because it's
he often does.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we have one more news story that we're going to get to before we transition into our next thing. So let's see what Pete has for us.
Well, the guest list for the Star Wars celebration in Japan just got a major boost with the addition of Poe Dameron himself, Oscar Isaac. While Isaac has attended previous celebrations to promote the sequel trilogy, this makes the first time that he will participate in official photo ops and autograph signings, making it a rare opportunity for fans to meet the Resistance leader in person. Isaac's appearance has ignited speculation that Lucasfilm may be planning a 10-year anniversary panel for The Force Awakens, which debuted in December 2015. Given that Isaac has distanced himself from Star Wars following The Rise of Skywalker, his willingness to return raises the question, who else could join him on stage? Many expect Daisy Ridley to attend, especially as she gears up for her upcoming new Jedi Order film, but the biggest question mark remains John Boyega, who has been very vocal about his experience with the franchise. Meanwhile, Adam Driver seems less likely, but not impossible, and director J.J. Abrams could also appear, though his commitments with Warner Brothers may complicate scheduling. Other confirmed guests include Rosario Dawson, Diego Luna, Ahmed Best, Alan Tudyk, Mads Mikkelsen, and Ashley Eckstein. There's also hope for a surprise appearance from Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, or even Harrison Ford. Fans eager to meet Oscar Isaac and other guests can secure autograph and photo op tickets now. Star Wars Celebration is shaping up to be a must-attend event for the saga's biggest names and fans alike.
I had to bring Chris in for this one. I know I watched him stretch it out. I watched him get, ready.
Harrison Ford ain't fucking going to Japan, dog. He ain't doing it.
Harrison Ford's not going to Japan at all. No. Here's what we know. We're seeing all these announcements roll out. Celebration is in Japan in April. Daisy's going to be there as far as we know. Oscar Isaac being announced. All these other things coming in there. There's one specific one. Chris, I'm just going to throw it to you first and foremost. What does this mean? What do we want it to mean?
Well, as far as listen, if John Boyega is going, then that man deserves a live on stage apology from everyone at Lucasfilm and Disney for what they did to him and his character. That's all I'm saying. Everyone else who shows up, cool.
Yes.
But if John Boyega goes, that's what needs to happen. And they need to announce that he's either going to be in this Rey movie or getting his own series, animated or live action. I'll take either.
Could not agree more, man. Could not agree more. They absolutely butchered my guy. And I'm not a hater. Most of the time when I come on this show, I'm actually the opposite. I'm always trying to go, everybody's criticizing this, criticizing that. We're supposed to have fun here, whatever. But the way they butchered him, he had the chance to possibly be the coolest Star Wars character ever. I mean, ever. A defector droid, like a defector stormtrooper. It could have been the most amazing thing ever, and they got him robbing a space casino on a horse. Get the fuck out of here.
It's not just there's so many things. He's a stormtrooper, the first one in the movies that I can think of who's taken their helmet off
ever. I've never seen it.
And you see him yet, and he defects, and he's force sensitive. There are so
it's a butchering.
There are so many ways you could have gone with this game. Yeah.
It's a butchering. Dude, yeah, not only I knew a bunch of people who literally started feeling differently towards stormtroopers because they were like, oh my God, there's people under there. Yeah. And it's a handsome black man. I don't want them to die,
Yes. They could have easily done and I've said this for ever since. For episode 8 of Star Bros between Finn and Poe, and have them go and try to break the indoctrination of a lot of these First Order stormtroopers, since the Resistance is all but destroyed and they need soldiers and they need fighters and all that kind of stuff to kind of even the odds a little bit. What do I know?
He should have killed Kylo. He should have been the one to kill Kylo, in my opinion.
Yep.
I'd be 100% on board for that.
Or just literally insert any other fucking thing than what happened here.
Exactly. Exactly.
I walked away from, I love Force Awakens. I loved it. But there is this asterisk while I was watching it where I'm like, this isn't what you sold me.
Right. By the way, 10 years? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Rayven, I have to call you out a little bit, because while Pete was reading our news story and the words Oscar Isaac came out of his mouth, you started fanning yourself. Obviously, there's a little bit of excitement there. I'm as excited as anybody is to get Oscar back in here. Does it mean he's in the Rey movie to you? Does it mean it's just a chance for him to spend some time with the fans? What does this announcement mean? I mean, he's going to Japan. It's kind of a big deal.
I don't know. For me, it's really interesting. I mean, yes, Oscar Isaac does make me have to fan myself a little bit, but I'm old. It could be hot flashes too. The main thing I think with Oscar Isaac, though, is that as a person, as an actor, he has distanced himself, but we've seen that over and over and over again, that they distance themselves and then they come back because they realize, and also we
Harrison
as a
Ford
public
hated it the whole time, and he came back.
Exactly. So I don't necessarily know that it means anything, but I would not at all be surprised. I mean, let's face it, one of the things that did work about the sequel trilogy was the chemistry between John and Oscar and Daisy.
Yeah.
That, I think, was very real, and I think is perfectly usable if you wanted to do that. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but to me, this feels a little bit more, and I mean, it doesn't matter now, but it feels a little bit more like Hayden coming back before Hayden did all sorts of extra stuff that made it more reasonable for him to be back. I just think it feels to me like he sees what's out there and the opportunity he has, but I could be completely full of shit too.
Well, I mean, the other thing is that he did come back and play Poe for the Resistance animated show 2 seasons, so it's not like he's unless there's something I don't know, and he's like.
Well, I mean, he's
past that. But.
He was Moon Knight. He was already on the premises. Might as well just hop over and.
If I was Oscar Isaac, I would be so furious that like he crushed in Star Wars. He's so handsome. He's so charming. He was sort of like this generation's Han Solo type guy. Mm-hmm. I'd be so mad if I was him and I did all that only for in the last movie for them to give me inarguably the worst piece of dialogue in Star Wars history. Like, it's not his fault. He just read the line. He just read the line. There's nothing to do.
It's memorable.
But it's memorable, but like he's a meme now. Like that's a meme. But it totally discredits how good he was in all of it. But it's so goddamn funny, you know. But like I'm a big fan of the dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree completely.
And hey, by the way, I'm a heterosexual male. And I fan myself.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And, some people just got it,
Hey, I'm a Coen Brothers fan. He was inside Llewyn Davis. Such
a good movie.
He's great.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that has wrapped up the news for us for this week. There are plenty of other stories. There's lots of things actually happening in Star Wars news most all the time. Be sure to check out the sswnetwork.com. We are trying to keep that updated with the regular news stories. Even if we don't get to them on a Thursday night, go read them, comment, call that voicemail at the top of the screen. Tell us what you think about them. In the meantime, we're going to take another quick break, and we are going to be right back, and we are going to get into kind of our main segment for the night. Corey's going to kick us off, and we're just going to kind of see where we go from there. So we will be right back in just a minute with more ATG Live.
What's up, my fellow Gen X Star Wars fam? My name is Chris Ryans from Broaxium. You may know me from ATG's Force Connect that I co-hosted with Pete and Nick. Now, I'm the owner and operator of Broaxium Outpost, an online shop for all your action figure and collectibles needs like Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection, Transformers Studio Series, Star Wars Lightsabers and Helmets, Masters of the Universe, and much, much more, including Star Wars Action. Alright, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff, I'm just saying. Stop by and check out the store at www.broaxiumoutpost.com. Sign up to become a part of the Bounty Hunters Guild and stay updated on new pre-orders, sales, and exclusive Broaxium content. Find something you like? Use the promo code ATG10 for 10% off your first order. We have Star Wars figures, by the way.
I'm telling you, we say it week in and week out. If you need Star Wars collectibles, go to Broaxium Outpost. Buy them from Chris. Don't buy them from Amazon. Jeff Bezos, we don't know what his deal is. He's like hanging out with people that we don't want to hang out with. ATG 10% off. You're going to buy it anyhow. Buy it from Chris. That's our new favorite catchphrase. You're going to buy it anyhow. Buy it from Chris. It's the way to go. We are back with a new weekly. We're on every week. Fuck that. We're back with ATG Live. I'm Nick. I'm here with Corey. I'm here with Rayven. We're hanging out. We're having fun. We've talked about the news. And now we're just going to kind of jump into our main segment of the week. Usually it's our guest spot. Both of our guests tonight are co-hosts. They've been on a bunch of times. They're a part of the family. Corey texted me and said, hey, I've been watching the prequels lately. I have this thing. I want to share it. And it's great because it was the thing that I had written in my show notes to say, this is how I want to start the show, and I want Corey to talk about it. So I'm turning the floor over to you, Corey. You've been watching the prequels. You feel like you've seen some things that maybe connect to the real world we're living in right now. The floor is yours, my friend. Take us away.
I sure have. And I think a lot of people know that the main critique of the prequels, at least The Phantom Menace, was like, why does George Lucas think anyone gives a shit about space taxes, right? Why would anyone care? Now, I'm a very lucky person because when the prequels came out, I was at the age where I was just pumped to see Star Wars, and I liked them. I unapologetically liked the prequels. And I've told you a million times, I'm willing to admit that if I was in my late teens or an adult and saw the prequels, I probably would feel the way a lot of people feel about them, but that's not true. They hold nostalgia for me, right? So I can always go back and watch them. But now in this current political landscape we have, I'm watching the prequels and thinking, my God, George Lucas was just 30 years too early. If he'd have released these now, it really would have resonated with us. And so as y'all know, I am a writer. I write for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and I've had 2 best-selling books. So I prepared a tome for this episode in gratitude of how often you ask me to guest host. So here we go. All right, folks. Grab your lightsabers and your voter registration cards because we are officially past the point of no return. The Republic, aka America, is crumbling faster than a battle droid taking a point-blank shot to the chest, and we're all sitting around wondering how in the hell this happened. Well, I'll tell you how. We are living through the damn Star Wars prequels in real time, except instead of Yoda and Mace Windu fighting to save democracy, we got the Senate filibuster and people thinking a hashtag is going to stop the Sith. All right? So let's break this trilogy of stupidity down before we all wake up in an Imperial work camp building Death Star parts for Jeff Bezos. Episode 1, The Phantom Tariffs, a.k.a. where the dumbassery begins. Every saga has a beginning, and for us, it starts with Donald Sith in plain sight Trump waltzing into power like Palpatine acting like he's just an innocent public servant while secretly setting the whole damn republic on fire. In The Phantom Menace, we had the Trade Federation, a.k.a. Amazon, Tesla, and every billionaire currently hoarding wealth like a damn dragon, blockading Naboo, a.k.a. the U.S. economy, because they don't want to pay taxes. And how did Trump kick things off? With a big, dumb fuck, unnecessary trade war. Dude slaps tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico like he's handing out speeding tickets, tells everybody, only I can fix this, and who actually suffers? Not Bezos, not Musk, not the billionaires, nope. It's the moisture farmers, the droid mechanics, the mom and pop shops, every regular ass person trying to live their life while the Sith do all their Sith shit. And what did the Democratic Party, a.k.a. the Galactic Senate, do? They sat around like, well, let's not be hasty. Let's discuss this. Let's form a subcommittee to investigate. We find this trade war highly troubling and wish to express our deepest concerns. Oh, you're concerned? Buddy, Palpatine is already using the Force to shove democracy off a goddamn balcony. And let's talk about Nancy Pelosi as Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, Qui-Gon was a legendary Jedi Master, wise, skilled, and a firm believer in the system when the system didn't even believe in itself. Sound familiar? Pelosi spends her whole career fighting the good fight, but at some point, the Republic got so far gone that even she couldn't steer the ship away from the asteroid field. Just like Qui-Gon, she knew things were bad, but she thought if she just played by the rules, the Republic would course correct itself. She trusted the system, even when the system was literally letting a Sith Lord run the goddamn government. And just like Qui-Gon, she will not live long enough to see how bad it will actually get. All right, episode 2, Attack of the Clones, or America starts punching itself in the face. So by Attack of the Clones, the Republic army is already doomed. The separatists, a.k.a. MAGA, QAnon, election deniers, and your uncle who gets all his news from Facebook memes are all ready for war. And who told them that the government was the enemy? Oh, right. That's Palpatine, aka Trump. Palpatine pits the Republic against itself, sits back and watches while the clones, aka brainwashed voters, extremists, and political grifters, start a full-blown war. Meanwhile, Count Dooku, Steve Bannon, is out here pretending that he's some noble leader when really he's just another rich dude helping the Sith burn democracy to the ground. And let's not forget General Grievous, aka Tucker Carlson. This dude who don't actually fight shit, but he loves running his mouth, stirring up chaos. He's got zero real power, but his whole deal is screaming propaganda at the clones so they hate the Republic even more. And the Jedi Council, aka Congress, the courts, and every watchdog group with good intentions, is sitting around thinking that they've still got this under control. Here's Mace Windu. Dooku's just a political idealist, not a murderer. Mace, my guy. He's holding a red lightsaber. It's fucking bad, okay? The Republic is already split in two, but the people in charge still think that they got time to fix it. That leads us in to episode 3, which is Revenge of the Billionaires, aka America's Order 66 moment, okay? At this point, Palpatine, aka Trump, has turned the entire system against itself. The courts, packed. The political norms, gone. The people who should be fighting back, still arguing about procedure. And Order 66, it's already happening in slow motion. Gerrymandering, that's clone troopers turning on democracy. Billionaires buying up the news media and social media platforms, that's the Jedi temples burning. The Supreme Court dismantling freedoms, that's Mace Windu getting thrown out of a fucking window. And let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, also known as Joe Biden. Old Ben Kenobi's looking at all this mess like, well, you know, shit, we had a good run. And he knows his time is up. He knows he's not got the strength to fight another Death Star. So what does he do? He just turns himself into a fucking Force ghost before Darth Vader, a.k.a. Trump, can cut him in half, right? He's making speeches, pushing policies, but deep down he knows he's not going to be the one to save the Republic. He's fading into the Force, hoping that Luke Skywalker, a.k.a. Gen Z voters, show up before it's too late. And Vader, oh, he's still out there, baby. Last time we saw Trump, he was climbing out of the lava pit of impeachment, wheezing, missing some limbs, but still screaming, I will return! And the empire ain't fully risen yet, but it is close. We are one Senate vote away from hearing the Republic will be reorganized. So what do? Right now, we're not even in the rebellion yet. We're just the background extras watching democracy get shot in the face while Palpatine takes a victory lap. Either we wake up, start acting like the damn Rebel Alliance and take this fight seriously, or we wait for our death to us by Darth Bezos. Your choice. Now let's break it down into little bullet points that everyone can understand. This is basically Nazism 101 brought to you by Star Wars methodology. Number 1, political manipulation and rise to power. Palpatine's strategy. In The Phantom Menace, Senator Palpatine orchestrates a crisis by manipulating the Trade Federation into blockading Naboo, and he uses this manufactured emergency to undermine Supreme Chancellor Valorium, leading to a vote of no confidence and positioning himself as the new chancellor. Sound familiar? Trump's approach. Donald Trump capitalized on national crises and societal division, often amplifying fears related to immigration, economic disparities, and national security by presenting himself as the sole solution to these issues. The issues that he fucking created, by the way, just like Palpatine. Exploitation of economic disputes, the Trade Federation's blockade. The Trade Federation under Palpatine influenced and imposed blockades over Naboo over a trade route taxation dispute, creating economic turmoil and political instability. Trade policies under Trump. The Trump administration engaged in trade wars, notably with China, imposing tariffs that led to economic tensions and uncertainties affecting global markets and domestic industries. And lest we forget, undermining democratic institutions. How'd they do it in Star Wars? With the erosion of the Galactic Senate. Palpatine manipulated the Galactic Senate's procedures, exploiting bureaucratic weaknesses and fostering distrust to centralize his power. challenges to the U.S. democratic norms, the Trump administration was marked by confrontations with established democratic institutions, including disputes with the judiciary, challenges to electoral processes, and tensions with the legislative branch. Also, use of populist rhetoric. This is important. Palpatine's public persona. Palpatine presents himself as a humble public service, voicing concern for the common citizen while secretly advancing his authoritarian agenda. Trump's public appeal. Trump utilized populist rhetoric, positioning himself as an outsider, fighting for the forgotten Americans, even as his policies often favored not only elite interests, but his own goddamn business. And now we move on to the creation of external threats to consolidate power. Manufactured conflicts. Palpatine engineers external threats, such as the Naboo crisis, to justify the expansion of his authority and military power. And here's how Trump does it. Emphasis on external threats. The Trump administration frequently highlighted external threats, including immigration, crises, and foreign adversaries, to rally support for increased executive powers and restrictive policies. I could go on, but the playbook is there, and all you have to do is watch the goddamn prequels while also watching Fox News.
Yes, 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 yes.
Exactly.
If you're doing both of those things,
Yeah, I lost your mic again,
Microphone.
buddy.
All right, Corey, from now on, we're just going to do that to him every once in a while for fun.
Are you back? Say something.
am I back?
You
Yeah,
are
you're
back.
Okay. What I was going to say is, if you're watching that and you're watching Fox News, you're going to be drinking heavily like Frank Sinatra in the 60s heavily. Like, there's only one other way to deal with that. First of all, Corey, that's amazing. I think we've all thought it. Anybody who's a Star Wars fan, you know, any part of the last, God, you know, even 8 years, you know, the first 4 years, the second 4 years, whatever this is we're in now.
Are we back?
But we are back. Are
Okay.
you back? See you.
I'm back. You said anyone is a Star Wars fan.
Anybody that's a Star Wars fan has seen this, and we've talked about it, we've texted about it, and certainly now, like this most current recent stuff, tariffs, like we've made jokes since 1999 about, oh, Star Wars is about trade routes and taxation and whatever the hell. And they're like, oh shit, that's really happening. And
That's
it's
kind of how it all is.
yeah, and it's manufactured. Like what we're seeing in real life is like, this is a problem that he created that actually got resolved by things that weren't his thing, but it's so nonsensical that like you just have to stop and go, is this Star Wars or is this real life? Like,
create an executive order removing a policy that had already happened, see shit fuck up, and then create your own executive order doing the same thing and claim that you did it. It's Palpatine.
Yes, my favorite new thing right now is those were terrible policies. Who wrote those policies? You did, you stupid idiot. They're your policies from 4 years ago. Like,
yeah. So I
what are we
think if
talking
you,
about?
I think watching the prequels with that knowledge is fun.
Yeah. So,
And I clearly have too much time on my hand because I'm not being paid to do this.
this is true. This is true. So here's the question, and maybe this is how we bring it back into Star Wars. Does this make us go, yeah, let's watch the prequels because we, you know, have an affinity for these movies and they're a part of our Star Wars, you know, collective lore and memory and all these things? Or right now, is it a little too soon? Is it a little too close to home?
Maybe, but I think it's always a good time to trill it up on the prequels because, like, again, like to me, obviously the OG trilogy was better as the first one. Like Empire Strikes Back kind of can't be beaten except for maybe by Rogue One. But they're fun and they're stupid, and I think we need that. So we need more stupid. That's why, like, I know this isn't a Marvel podcast, but like when I saw the trailer for the Fantastic Four, I was like, great, this looks colorful and old and they're taking a different approach and it's stupid and it's silly. And like, that's what I want right now. I need Batman to be gritty, but that's kind of about it, you know?
Yep. Oh, you're gone. At least for me.
Get a new mic, you fucking idiot. Use all that. Do you need some credits? I can.
Yeah. Republic credits.
Yeah,
It's
some
muted. That's why.
You were
what
muted.
an amateur.
There you go.
Stupid idiot. That was actually my fault. Yeah, I'm with you, but at the same time, even with the Batman stuff, HBO Max has all the Batmans. Everything you want Batman is on HBO right now.
Amazing.
I watched Batman and Robin the other day. I watched, the Batman Returns, like all the ones that it was the Nolan 3, which are phenomenal and are probably my favorites. Incredible. But like, Batman's still a comic book thing. Like there's that in between, like finding that space and finding that in between. But I'm with you with Fantastic
Have you heard the
Four.
theory that will make you appreciate Batman and Robin and Batman Forever? The theory is that Joel Schumacher was the one who took over those from Tim Burton, right? And Joel Schumacher was a huge fan of the original Batman, like the TV show back in the day, which I am too. Right. And he was like, no, Batman's supposed to be campy or whatever.
Right.
Well, the theory is that those Batman movies exist in the Michael Keaton universe as the movies they made about Michael Keaton.
Keaton.
It makes sense that, like, if you look at it like that, like those would be the Batman movies made if Batman was a real person to be campy. And it kind of makes sense. And like, as someone who really likes the Ward Burton fucking Adam West ones, like
Adam West,
it kind of works for me.
It totally works. And, again, the way Star Wars hits home and the way what you just, it's fantastic. It was exactly before you texted me earlier today and was like, hey, I've written this thing. I've been watching the prequels. I was like, this is what I was going to tell Corey to talk about to start this out anyhow. So like, we're all connecting. We all see the same thing. It's not, this crazy, grand revolution, but like you took it to so many other levels. There's so much there.
It took so long.
It's fantastic.
We never even got to talk about the greatest Star Wars news of the week that Pete didn't even mention, which is that canonically Watto got strangled to death by
Darth Vader. We talked about that last week. Yep.
Did you?
That was on the show last week. Yep.
Dude, the memes on the internet.
I'm drinking to that.
Dude, it's so great.
Exactly.
Like Trump gave some executive order the other day, and somebody tweeted, "I'm so glad Watto's not here to see this," and I fucking died laughing.
Well.
So great.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep this party moving along. That was amazing. We've got a caller hanging out in the wings. We've got a couple of voicemails. We want to hear from all of you. We have dropped the link in the chat. If you want to join the show, if you have thoughts about what Corey said, about the news at the top of the show, if you just want to say something stupid about Star Wars, this is your chance. The link is in the chat. Click on that. Join us. We do have our first caller. We're going to get to him right now. So I'm going to hit this button and we're going to bring him in.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
He's here.
We got Will Steamboat, we got Nick Ross, and we got Raekwon. I'm glad to see it. But I'm calm today, okay? See?
You're calm.
I got my hookup.
You got your death stick.
I got my hookup, and I'm chill today. Like my boy Claude, I'm chill like him. I'm not going to be shouting about incest this time. I'm chill.
Eric, what's on your mind this week? What's got you so chill? What are you bringing to the show tonight?
I was actually mostly following what y'all saying. I was going in and out watching Bombadcast. It's too much to try to comprehend. I can't. I don't have enough ears. I don't have enough brain to absorb it all. But when Corey was going on about the comparisons to Palpatine and Trump in this new era, it made me think. And I also mentioned it in the comments of that. I said that Kanye's life mirrors Anakin.
Oh my God! Holy shit! It does. He was the chosen one.
Yeah, he was the chosen one. He early on.
I'm just gonna go ahead and feel offended on Hayden's behalf. Just FYI.
If only his wife would die.
Well, you see glimpses of like, fascistic rhetoric that he repeats because he idolizes somebody. and he loses his mother, and he loses that tether, and he really goes off the rails.
Yep.
And this all stemmed because he was on a podcast once, and he said that he vastly prefers the prequels to the sequel trilogy. I'm like, can I armchair look into why he would? I'm like, wait, he basically is Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could dislike everything else, but he sees so much of himself in Anakin that there's no way.
Yeah.
For the record, I do like the prequels better than the sequels.
Yeah. And in this metaphor, yes, Obi-Wan is Jay-Z. He was his brother, and then it just all fell apart.
It just fell apart.
And he started screaming he hated him. Like on a song, Kanye was talked about how he's had fantasies about murdering Jay-Z.
Yeah.
It's legit stuff.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to be.
Sounds like Star Wars to me.
I'm not, I'm way more laid back. I got my shit. Just in case if the camera was flipped, I have it written backwards.
Wow.
I love you so much.
Eric, not only does Eric show up every week, Eric shows up prepared. If the camera's reversed, he's got it written on both sides. He's going to make sure you know what's going on. Eric, It's always a pleasure when we get to see you. Thank you for showing up. Even if you're laying in your bed like it's John and Yoko, like whatever's going on, we got a little bit of a lay-in going in here. It's good to see you, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably see you next week.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is like we need Nick, Corey, and Jeff Qualio on a call. We get all the country boys together.
I would love that.
All the rednecks on one stream. That'll definitely keep Pete away. So maybe that's our next opportunity. All right. Wow. Eric, it's always good to see you, my friend. We're going to get you out of here, and we will see you again soon.
Shout out.
I'm telling you, you don't know what happens when Eric calls in.
What's the death stick?
It's from
weed vape.
Could be.
That's what I would call my weed vape, is the death stick.
Well, in episode 2, when they go to the bar at the beginning, Anakin and Obi-Wan are there, and the guy talks to Obi-Wan, and he's like, "You want to buy some death sticks?" And he's like, "You want to go home and rethink your life?"
Okay.
Kind of that vibe. So
okay, I'd forgotten that. know, I forget stuff, and I'm not I'm not all the way caught up. I really did try to binge all of Skeleton Crew before I came on here, but it just wasn't in the cards. But I'm very happy that it's great, man. I'm gonna try to finish it tonight. But yeah,
love it.
I have so much fun here. This is the best,
dude. It's the best that you're here. We've got a couple more. We don't have any callers hanging out in the wings, but we do have a couple of voicemails that have come in over the course of the last week. So we're going to drop those into the feed. Wait a minute. We don't like that.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. First one is from Matt. And I know Rayven knows our friend Matt. Matt lives in Enid, Oklahoma. Matt is a Gen X Star Wars fan like all of us. He loves to stop people outside of his kids' karate dojo in Oklahoma and just say, "Hey man, what do you think about Star Wars?" So this is Matt from Enid with a voicemail.
Hey fellas, this is Matthew in Enid. I think I might need an intervention, help, or a drink or something. I don't know. I wasn't going to call in, but I was getting a random hose sprayer delivered from Walmart yesterday, and I was outside with my son, and so the random guy brought the Walmart order, and he saw my Star Wars shirt, and so we were talking about Star Wars, and I'm a nice guy, so I was BSing with him. And he starts talking about the Star Wars movies, and he's talking about the sequels, and how he doesn't like this and he doesn't like that. So he goes on this rant about how he's really upset because Han Solo, Leia, and all those Luke Skywalker all got really old. You can't believe Disney would do that, and why'd they put them on screen old? And I couldn't believe this dude. I'm like, what do you want them to do? CGI these characters? People get old and they get fat. Look at me. I'm not the same size or look like I was freaking 20 years ago. So besides that, him annoying the shit out of me, we were talking about the sequels, and he was like, yeah, I watched a marathon of them the other day, and I asked him what he thought about it, and he was like, looked at me, and he goes, well, I like The Force Awakens, but my biggest problem is when Darth Vader killed Han Solo, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? First off, his name is Darth Vader, and he didn't do that because that traumatized me. I said, that was not Darth Vader. That was the unspeakable butt face we don't talk about. But
Come
we
on.
talked for another 5 minutes.
I talk
couldn't
about
convince
him.
the poor guy that it wasn't Darth Vader that killed Han Solo. It was the other unspeakable name I won't mention. But nice enough guy, but a little delusional. But, you know, it was nice to talk to another Star Wars fan. But he left, and my brain hurt after he left, and I was just confused. And I just found myself talking in the yard to myself for a few minutes after he had to bring up the incident with, the Han Solo incident. It kind of traumatized me. So, anyway, I'll be watching that, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Bye.
I've never understood the Kylo Ren hate. I really haven't, because, like, don't get me wrong, Darth Vader is the OG, whatever. But let's not also act like up until Darth Vader's death, he's a one-dimensional character. Like, he's just evil the whole time. Like, there's not really a lot to him. There's no character build. And again, that's great. That makes him evil. It's like, this is a bad motherfucker the whole time. But, like, Kylo Ren they're like, oh, he's so emotional, and it's like, yeah, he's the grandson of the greatest villain of all time, and his father is this heralded fucking rapscallion Humphrey Bogart type character. He's a teenager. That's how teenagers act. Like, he's a Gen Z type motherfucker. Like, he's gonna be emotional, and that's part of what makes him flawed, and that's part of where the anger comes from. And it also helps at the end where he's having to go back and forth with, like, this is my destiny, but I do think there's some good in me because that's my mother and father or whatever. Like, I think Kylo Ren's a great fucking character. He's by far my favorite part of. I don't like the sequels particularly. I'll watch them. I don't hate them, but like, I'm not gonna like. If someone says, do you want to watch the OG, the prequels, or the sequels, I'm going not sequels last. But like, Kylo Ren makes them worth watching. He's really good.
It's well, the first and most important thing to understand is Matt has a lot of trauma and difficulties with Kylo and Han Killer, as he likes to call him.
That's fair.
This is
fair.
This is really Matt's own thing, especially as a Gen X Star Wars fan, for sure.
I'm not denigrating this man's opinion. He's entitled to it, and I respect it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's a significant event. So when he stops somebody at Walmart outside of Enid, Oklahoma, and says, you know, what's going on, it becomes a whole other thing.
Is Kylo sort of like this new generation's, like, what were the little bears? Fucking
Ewoks?
Ewoks. Or is he like the Ewoks to these people where they're like, I just can't get behind this because it's too childish or whatever? Like, is Kylo kind of that?
I think he's got detractors and he's got lovers. I think he's a character that people can truly understand and get behind, and I think he's also a character that people can't possibly comprehend. I think it depends on who you ask. I think he's amazing. I think he's absolutely amazing. And yes, a huge part of that is Adam Driver's talent. And his ability to do everything that you could possibly ask an actor to do, plus he does it like better than 99.9% of them. So, you know, but this is a character that I can completely understand, even if I can't completely identify with him, because he's so completely opposite of how I am, but I can totally get behind the character, and I can feel him, and I can understand him. Bro's ready to just explode, isn't he? But I love Kylo Ren, and I'm obviously an original trilogy baby, but I also enjoyed quite a bit of the sequel trilogy. It's not perfect, no. If I could change things, would I? Yes.
I don't hate it. They're just the least rewatchable ones to me.
I think that's true of I mean, I don't know. I really liked Force Awakens, and
Me too.
I'm also one of those major losers that loved The Last Jedi.
I
So
fucking love The Last Jedi.
I didn't hate it like
send the
everybody
hate
else
this
hated
way
it.
because I loved it because
My-
I think that it's so childish to think that someone would live that long and not change.
Right,
And that
agreed.
argument immediately makes me
oh,
want
the
to
Luke
fight because
stuff?
I'm like,
Yeah.
because when I
Oh.
met Luke, I was 5 years old. Okay,
Well-
I am not who I was back then. I wouldn't expect him to be who he was. Like,
Well, people don't
oh my
understand.
god,
It's called a character arc for a fucking reason.
Arc,
Like
yeah.
you have to
Yep.
start somewhere and get somewhere, you know. No,
Yep.
I'm with you 100%. Like I liked all that shit. Like I don't hate it like most people do. My hardest I've ever laughed in a Star Wars movie was that movie when what's his face? I can't remember his name. His dad's the great Irish actor.
Hux.
When he comes in,
Oh,
and
yeah.
when he comes in and goes, "I am the spy." Like that's the
Yeah.
funniest line in Star
Yep.
Wars. I laughed in the theater. I was vomiting laughing. I am the spy. So funny.
Chris,
oh my god.
Chris, you popped up. We're talking about Kylo. You popped in. What you got?
Ironically, this week, Legacy of Vader, a comic book, Star Wars comic, premiered, first issue, and it's a Kylo Ren comic. So this is set between 8 and 9. We're talking immediately after the Battle of Crate, and he's getting into his foot in the door as far as being the Supreme Leader of the First Order, but also like his parental issues and clinging to the past. And just his struggle is really, his mental struggles are really coming to the forefront in this comic. And now he's starting to retrace the steps of Vader, trying to connect with that strength, of his grandfather, and seeing why is he like this and whatnot. And this is why he's going to Tatooine. You're going to hear about him killing Watto, supposedly. So yeah, one of the guys on my team that does quick shots, he's not a big fan of this. I don't know if it is of this book or he's not a big fan of the Kylo character, at least like how he's portrayed. And yeah, like that whole thing is very like Rayven was saying, that's very, very polarizing. As to, I think he's one of the most complex and amazing characters in all of Star Wars. Some people don't think that he's done right because of emotional inconsistencies, and that comes with the writing that people are saying with
They had too many cooks in the kitchen doing.
Yeah.
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 I think emotional inconsistency also comes from a traumatized young man, which he absolutely is.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Everything
Absolutely.
Rayven has said so far is 100% correct, and I agree with her. And those are now my opinions.
Well, and I'll say this too, just talking about, and all apologies to Matt, who's been a friend and a fan of ours for, pretty much since the very beginning. When Force Awakens came out, like Kylo Ren, I kind of didn't give a fart, but like as the series went on, like I became more invested in that character because of, one, like you said, Rayven, how good Adam Driver is, but like the character that started out, I didn't care or kind of annoyed me. Like by the time we get to Last Jedi, when we see like that unbridled, like losing his mind because he can't do the thing he wants to, into, trying to connect with what Rey, like it really is so good. And it was not something that I was prepared to go, I like this character the way I do when I first started it. Like it grew on me, and exactly for what you said too, Corey, because of his arc. Like that character grew and developed for me as somebody consuming, the show.
I liked him from the jump because I thought, first off, I just thought that the modulation they used on his voice was very terrifying. Like when he shows up and like murders that entire village or whatever. But like, the scene that I think a lot of people point to is like, oh, look at this baby. It's when he just loses his shit in the boardroom or whatever of the Death Star. And I was like, yeah, that's how that would go. Like, that's exactly how that would go. Yeah. Like maybe Darth Vader was a little bit more calm, cool, and collected or whatever. But like, that's how that would go when you're an angsty teen who has this chip on your shoulder of like, I'll never be my grandfather, or also my parents continually want me to come home and I'm trying to rebel against them. Like, actually, I hate to say it, I saw a lot of myself in Kylo Ren. Like, I've had those fits,
Pitching a fit, losing our mind, having a moment.
I always felt that he seemed, and this is possibly just me reading into it, but, you know, from the jump, I was interested, you know, in the character and seeing where he went. But for me, from the start, he was a spoiled, rotten little brat.
Mhm.
And he was creating trauma from lesser trauma. He was creating trauma that was like just world ending, you know, confidence shaking, personhood changing. And it's just like, no, dude, your parents just didn't pay as much attention to you as you'd like. Like, let's not pretend that they were beating you with a baseball bat.
But
that's the thing that's the difference between Kylo Ren and Darth Vader, because Vader's, and again, you shouldn't compare trauma, you know, real life, don't compare trauma.
Of course not.
In movies, you can compare trauma, and I'm sorry, but not getting as much attention from mommy and daddy as you want is not the same as, like, I mean, Anakin went through some stuff. I think we can all agree that Anakin went through some stuff. You know, and I just think that Kylo is like, a lot of his is a little overkill, and some of it's like self-inflicted, and it's a little bit Robert Smith in the best possible way.
I know, I agree. Like, I'm fine with him being a spoiled brat, because, like, I mean, if you look at real world problems, the people in America that are often dangerous are people who were spoiled brats, who think their problems are worse than everybody else's, even though that they aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that. When you look at, like, when you have one of those tantrums, when you go to therapy and you look back on it, you're like, that wasn't even that big of a deal. But like, when you're in that zone, it's as a big a deal as anything in the world. And like, and that's why I liked him. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this, you fucking idiot, but it is upsetting you. And like, it's all it's all because you're a child. Like, you're a child, and he was a child.
Yep. And that comes with age, that realization when you start to see situations like that and you think to yourself, you're being ridiculous. This is so not an important thing. It's so small compared to what you're making it. But that at the same time, I can remember being a 14-year-old girl and not having exactly the shoes or the pants or the shirt that I needed to have to be cool. And I felt like I might as well just keel over right here. It is all over. Because at that point in your life, you know, your experience is so small that things like that seem way bigger. And I just think that Kylo Ren, at least at the very beginning, a lot of it is him just seeing, you know, he's making a mountain out of a molehill, as my mama used to say.
Yes, my mama also. But he grew. By the end of it, he grew. Like, he realized, like, oh shit, man, I shouldn't have been in, like, that's just being a kid and then being an adult, you know, like, we got to see that whole, whereas with Darth Vader, until the prequels or whatever, it was literally just like one tone, fuck you, choking you, whatever. And then, of course, at the end, he humanizes himself by taking off the helmet and saving Luke. But, like, you know, Kylo had more depth, in my opinion.
He did. I mean, if you, in his period of time, yes, because with Vader, you have really, in my opinion, Vader, and then you have Anakin. And I get that they're the same person, but you get 3 movies of Vader as Vader, like you're saying. There's just the bad guy, the ultimate baddie, the baddest of the bad. But in the prequels, he's a young man, and you see his trauma and how he became that character. And it really does, to a certain degree, take away some of that baddest of the bad, just on a different level, because suddenly now you realize that badness comes from somewhere. And, you know, as somebody who saw the original trilogy, like, when it was the original trilogy, like, we didn't know that. He was just the baddest, coolest bad guy there ever was. So 20 years later to find out that there was a reason for him being that way, and it was, in a lot of cases, and I know I'm not speaking for just myself, for a lot of people, that's an experience that we've all had, the childhood with some sort of trauma that has changed us, you know, irrevocably. And that's something that we got to see Anakin go through. But to me, Anakin is one character and Darth Vader is a completely different one, because it's just
100%.
They're just not the same, you know?
No, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
100%.
I need you to fax me all of your opinions so I can just make them my own.
I got you.
Raven's got you. She's got it completely covered. Y'all, this has been so much fun. We have had a million things going on tonight. We have had news. We have had Corey's amazing breakdown of the prequels and how that relates to everything that we're seeing and dealing with in real life. We've had calls from Eric that we may or may not have really understood what he's talking about. And we had this great, talk about, Kylo and the sequels. So we're going to wrap this up tonight. We're going to get out of here because we've had a bunch of fun. Before we get out of here, Rayven, I know that people can't find you anywhere because that's not your deal. Social media. You're just that amazing personality that shows up, pops up anytime we're lucky enough to get to see you. So thank you for being here with us tonight. Corey, you're everywhere. You've got tours coming up. You've got dates coming up. You've got websites, writings, things. Tell everybody where they can get hooked up with all the things you're doing.
Well, first off, good for you, Rayven, for not being on anything. I envy you. And one day you'll know if I've made my millions because you won't see my fat ass on anything either. Yeah, you can get all my tour dates at CoreyRyanForrester.com. Coming up February 16th. And this show's almost sold out. There might be like one ticket left. I'm doing a show in Athens, Georgia, in support of the Drive-By Truckers Homecoming Heathens Weekend. That is my favorite band of all time. I'm beyond honored. And then after that, I will be in Charleston, South Carolina at the brand new Wits End Comedy Club. And then March 20th, I will be in Atlanta at the legendary Punchline Comedy Club. Limited dates right now because I still got a baby and I hate leaving my house. But go to CoreyRyanForrester.com for that. All my bonus stuff, if you like the rant that I just went on about Star Wars, I do things like that all the time at WeLoveCorey.com. It's sort of like my Patreon. It's less than $1 a month. If you sign up right now, you've got literally over 200 hours of bonus stuff that you'd have to get through before you even got to the new stuff. Podcasts, audio. I do audio dramas. This Christmas, I did an audio drama Christmas special. It was a retelling of Charles Dickens' Christmas story that was set in the South. That I voiced every character. I produced it, all that stuff. I also write essays, and I write for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And other than that, I'm just real stupid. So if you'd support me, that'd be wonderful.
That last one was a lie. He's not stupid.
I am very stupid. I just know I'm smart in 3 things, like Star Wars, comedy, joke structure, and how to change a diaper without getting shit on my finger.
Hey. It's a skill. It's important.
It's a skill. It's a skill.
Yep. It's good stuff. Well, we are going to wrap it up for tonight. We will be back next week. We've got another fun week. Next week, we're going to be joined by our friend Cam Ray. Excited for y'all to get to see and hear about the new stuff that he's got going on. He's got a new podcast happening. In the meantime, we're going to wrap it up. We hope to see you on social medias. Call the voicemail, whatever it is. Rayven, may the force be with you.
And may the force be with you.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.